This is the AIT 2024 SC. It's a 24-inch tabletop fusing machine. I say tabletop, it comes on a stand as you see, but fundamentally can be just put on a tabletop. And yes, comes outfitted as you see in the picture here, one with his prefabricated front input table. In this case, we don't have anything mounted to it, but you can mount a folder if you've got waistbands or other things that you need to pre-fold before fusing. But nevertheless, I wanted to walk us through briefly the features of this machine, and I even have some of the panels open, you can see back here, to be able to talk about the internals. So the 2024 is a tabletop fusing machine with top and bottom heat. So the way this is constructed is that this has a top and bottom belt. Kind of hard to see through there, but fundamentally you have two PTFE Teflon belts on the top, one on the top, one on the bottom, and that the entrance is here and the exit is in the rear. And just before exiting, the product goes through two pressure rollers. You can see one silicone roller here. There's another set up here internally that are pressure rollers pushed together to be able to ensure that the product is fused and or laminated. So we have one temperature controller, but again, it does have top and bottom heat. So this one temperature controller is controlling both top and bottom heat. I've just turned the heat on. It hasn't been turned on until this moment. So the way that you start this machine is by pushing the heat button, and in doing so, the temperature will begin to rise. And once it's at the proper temperature, about 70 degrees Celsius, then the machine will start running. So that's kind of different for a typical fusing machine, but the advantage is it helps the belts last longer, because in the event some adhesive is stuck to the belts, this kind of pre-softens that before the belts start turning. So you can see now on the temperature control gauge that the temperature is coming up. Our set point is 160, you see on the bottom. That's in Celsius, so that's about 320 or so. And then the top number is the actual temperature, so that's heating up as we speak. This has pneumatic pressure to it. So on here you see a pressure gauge. So we've got compressed air that's adjustable here. And what that does is that controls the pressure rollers. So look here in the back. I don't know if we're going to be able to see. It is kind of hard to see, but in here there are two pressure rollers, top and bottom, that come together with the use of, here's how you activate the pressure. That's on. I'm going to turn it off because it's really best to run the machine without the pressure rollers prior to fusing. You don't need them to run and start up the machine. So running it without the pressure rollers just gives you longer belt life. Here's the exit end of the belt. So product is going to come off the bottom belt and across this aluminum blade, and then it'll actually go in this tray. The tray is inverted and under the table for shipping. You can see the belts just started turning, so the temperature came up above 70 degrees. And that's how this machine, that's the startup for this machine. So back to the tray. The tray is underneath the catch tray for shipping, but fundamentally it would be mounted where you see it now, just in the outward position versus inward. and product would come off of this blade and fall into the catch tray. Both top and bottom belt have these scraper blades that are spring loaded to ensure that product doesn't stick to the belt and keep going around. And we have a cleaning bar that rides on top and bottom of the belt to get excess adhesive. Otherwise, we would normally run with this cover closed so that we can conserve heat and keep that in the heat chamber. This mechanism that you're looking at is actually two things. One is the drive motor, obviously, for the machine and the main drive motor. And then secondly, this is the activation arm of the pressure for the pressure rollers. So, making our way around. These machines, I don't know if I said it or not, are open-sided. So here you can actually run larger product. You might have curtains or those kinds of things that you want to seal the bottom. You can actually leave that out. This will travel down through here outside of the heat chamber. And so the open-sided design is really handy for doing large parts but small specific areas. Let's see, otherwise this is a 220 volt single phase machine. So you can see all the AIT machines come with a serial plate. This one pulls 30 amps, it's single phase and does use compressed air. On off switch, and the machine is going to come with about a 10-foot cord on it that will need to be connected to electrical. A little bit more behind the machine or internal to the machine. Here's some of the electronics in the machine. So we use breakers, solid state relays. We've got a motor drive, obviously, for the motor inside the machine, and you can see the various heating wires and thermocouples, etc. inside the equipment. Otherwise, it's a piece of equipment that doesn't have to be set up by an AIT technician. Machine just has to be taken off of the metal skid on the bottom, leveled just with a regular carpenter's level, and then hooked up electronically and pneumatically, turn it on and go. So that is the 2024 SC tabletop fusing machine from AIT.